Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Broken Boys. This is episode 190. Woo! Uh,
Woo.
yeah, I'm Mike,
And I'm Colin.
and yeah, today we're gonna be talking about the album discography of legendary new metal, alternative rock, pop band, Linkin Park. Um, Legendary group, and we're going to be going through all of their albums, from Hybrid Theory to One More Light, and talking about our thoughts, first time thoughts for the most part. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, Although to address something, I think it should be said for this episode. Uh,
I fucked up, guys.
you messed up?
I fucked up.
What?
Um,
Yeah,
I,
yeah. You did. Tell them what you did, Colin.
I I had an offensive profile pic the first time we recorded this episode.
Yeah.
Um, I it was insensitive and rude, and it got us into some legal trouble with a certain YouTuber. I
Yeah.
can't name names, but
Yeah.
rhymes with
Sorry. Yeah. Continue.
it rhymes with Sister Yeast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I just want to apologize. So instead, for this time around, I'm going with this non-offensive, completely real,
Yeah.
and um, lovely profile pic. So
Yeah.
you know,
It is very lovely, pun intended.
yeah,
And
no
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Uh,
we're re-recording this Sunday night. We usually record on Fridays, and we did record on Friday. But I tried uploading the video, and like even before it was like posted, sorry, undisclosed YouTuber knew, and wouldn't even allow it to be scheduled to upload or anything. So uh,
yeah, it was unfortunate. My bad.
yeah,
But
all
I'm
Colin's fault.
happy. I'm happy to be with you on the Lord's Day. So
Yes. Hmm.
at least there's that.
At least there is that. And speaking of the Lord's Day, how was your day slash week, Colin?
Well, my week was all right. Um, Max has been off in Indiana this since Tuesday, so I've been going it solo. She'll be back on this upcoming Tuesday, so I won't be alone for much longer, but long enough for me to cry myself to sleep a couple more times.
Mm-hmm. Get a couple good
Um,
cries in there, yeah.
yeah, I got a couple good ones. But otherwise, I've worked every day since she left on Tuesday night. So I've been Wednesday all the way up until tomorrow. So six good shifts in a row.
Yeah.
Though I am going to call off tomorrow because I am not doing that. I'm not.
Fair.
Uh, Tomorrow's a short shift anyway. Monday today, when you're hearing this, maybe depending on Mike's work ethic.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna do my best.
Monday.
Monday.
Monday, October 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I I just the last few days have been a little rough, especially this morning, Sunday morning.
Mm.
We we stopped having breakfast available at 11
Yes.
on Sunday. So, I come in right when it's the cutoff of breakfast and the switch over to lunch. And that's always a shit show no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who's working, doesn't matter. I came in and one of my managers had been there since 11 p.m. the night prior. Um, so she was going on 12 hours.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't like register that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all because of our GM who decided to come in when he was supposed to
Awesome.
and help and relieve her of her duties. So she was stuck there. He said that he wasn't feeling well, but he seemed to be quite fine yesterday when he was there. But I'm not saying that you can't feel bad, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Given his track record, anyway, and but it was a shit show. Of course, the kitchen people were not switching over fast enough, and it was just a lot of orders coming in with no food coming out. And also on top of that, there was a few coaches for a sports team. I assume football, maybe baseball. And they decided to come in and order food for their team. And it was, I think they ordered 10 McDoubles, 13 McChickens, and a couple other things. And it was like over $100 order, which, right on the switch over to lunch. Great idea, guys.
Yeah.
And they also didn't call ahead, which every sports team that has done that has called ahead.
Yeah.
So we didn't have time to prepare. And their whole order was taking up all of the table, and no other orders were being made. So we were waiting on that order to be made, while a ton of other orders were stacking up right behind it.
Right.
And while we were waiting for that, it had been like maybe 7 to 10 minutes since they had ordered, and they came up and they were like, "Any idea what food's gonna be done?"
Jeez.
And I said,
The audacity.
"You didn't call ahead." "No, I don't know." And they said, "Oh, okay." And it's like, hey, asshole.
At least,
you can have my apron and come on back here.
yeah. At least this time, there's no story of one of the coaches abusing the kids of the team like
Yeah,
last time he told. Yeah.
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fairly slow after the lunch rush and everything. I got to leave a little early today, so it wasn't too bad.
That's
But
good.
yeah, after 5 days in a row, and this morning, I was tempted to call off today, but for the sake of the manager that I was like, I'll be there for her. But tomorrow, I'm like, I work a 4-hour and 45-minute shift. I don't care enough.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm not missing out on that much money for it, so I'm not like too upset and missing out. And they'll be okay. So, but I texted that manager tomorrow, and I was like, fair warning.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, just make sure you call off when you're supposed to. I'm like, I will. I'm not a monster. But, yeah. Otherwise, this week, listened to a lot of Linkin Park. I watched a new Marvel show called Agatha All Along, which is like a continuation of the first Disney Plus Marvel show, WandaVision.
Yeah.
And it is surprisingly good. It's not over yet, but I caught up with what is currently out, and it was like, I wasn't like too excited for it. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not, but I like the lead actor, Catherine Hahn. She's been in a bunch of comedy stuff. She was in Parks and Rec, as well as another person in the show, Aubrey Plaza. So
what character was not Aubrey Plaza, the other actress? What character was she?
in Parks and Rec, I don't remember her name. She wasn't like she wasn't like a consistent character. I think she was like Leslie Knope's arch nemesis, I think.
Oh, okay.
But like, she only showed up a few times, and but I've liked her in other things I've seen her in. She's mostly a comedy actor, and she's good. But Aubrey Plaza, I'll watch anything with Aubrey Plaza in it. So
there you go.
And she's great in it as well. But it's a good show. I'm enjoying it. I don't know how many. I think there's 9 episodes, and the 6th one just came out, so we got a few more of those. Nice. I finished Silent Hill 2 earlier this week, and that was quite depressing, quite disturbing as well. Out of like all the horror games that I've played in the last year or two, that was probably like the scariest one. just like psychologically. Um, it was a cool story, but it was very just depressing, and like I liked a lot of the level design as as you go through the levels, they like start to change and get like more worn down and broken and gross,
Mm,
which is like cool. You
yeah.
walk into somewhere and it's like, oh, it's nice, and the sun's coming through the windows and everything's clean, maybe a little dusty, but like not dirty or anything. And then like you leave for a little while, come back after a certain like event, and then like you're back in the same place, but it's like there's blood on the ground and dead bodies, and oh, there's an enemy around the corner. It's
Yeah.
like okay, it's cool, but you know, I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser after that because it was very um, depressing, as I said. So I started playing a game called Hi-Fi Rush, which
Yeah.
is a um, action game where you fight to the beat. There's like a consistent beat that goes on, and when you attack to the beat correctly, you get like it gets stronger and also gives you bonuses and stuff. Um, and it's pretty cool. There was a Nine Inch Nails song that played during a boss battle, which was pretty
Mm,
cool.
that is cool.
Um,
Is it like all
but
licensed music or is?
I think most of it's original, but there are a couple of like licensed songs
Okay.
throughout. But it's cool. I've been enjoying that. But also on top of that, yesterday I went to the store, and I've been toying with the idea of buying this new Zelda game that came out
Oh.
um, a month or so ago. And it's like it's more like top down, like old Zelda type
Hmm.
thing, but it's like still like 3D. And in this one, you play as Zelda, and you're trying to save Hyrule.
Don't you pl isn't
Um,
that the plot of all of them?
well, you don't play as Zelda in all of them.
What do you
Uh,
mean?
I- it's not Zelda. It's Link. Okay,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
get it right. Jeez, you've played Twilight
I
Princess.
know. Sorry, I just had to
God,
perpetuate, stereotypes of the game. Or I don't know if that's a stereotype. You know what I mean?
I got
Yeah.
a common trope, as you
Common
will.
misconception.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
um, um, but yeah, I bought that last night when I went grocery shopping, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." You know what?
Mm,
I don't care. And I bought it, and it's very fun. I've been enjoying it. It's like more puzzle oriented. Like Zelda games always have puzzle elements, but this one is like um, you can't really fight as Zelda, but you get this magic rod that you use to like copy objects or enemies that you kill
mm,
um, with rocks or whatever, um, and you can like summon those enemies or items to like help fight people or
yeah.
other enemies, um, and that's cool. As well as like you can like to like get up on places, you like summon a bed or summon a table, or I got a trampoline, um, and like you can get up to places, and it's like just it's pretty cool. I've been enjoying it. I think it's cool. Um, as well as Stardew. I've been playing Stardew Valley a good bit while I was listening to Linkin Park this week. I was playing Stardew the whole time, and
Yeah.
um, it's good. I love that game. Um, I got to the Skull Caverns uh, finally, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise, that's mostly my week. How was your week, Mike?
Week was fine. Not really all too much too notable. But I was kind of on the brink of sickness all week a little bit. Had like this weird stuffy nose and like congested throat for a lot of the week. And was kind of uncomfortable. But since like Friday, that's been kind of absent now, so I'm a free man from the sickness. I've been freed and cured, I guess. And yeah, I got to test my
So happy.
theory. Yeah, I got to test my theory of because last time I went to go get Indian food with my friends, I said that like it's kind of got that like the spices, some good spices to like clear your sinuses for when you're sick, and I bet it would taste good with that. And while I went to go back to that place this week and got some butter chicken, and can confirm that that does work pretty well. It does help clear those sinuses and feel nice, but not like overly spicy that type of way. Well, I mean, it
Mm.
probably could be if I asked for it that way, but yeah, so that was cool. But you know,
Mm.
last week, on Saturday, I say last week now, this week on Saturday, because that's how we normally talk about them in the episode. I went on a little date with John. Him and
Um,
I went out to the movie theater. Um, we went to go see Piece by Piece, which is that Lego movie about Pharrell Williams' life and his career, and you know, just telling his story through the medium of Lego, and it was pretty good. I didn't really know exactly what to expect when going into it, but you know, it felt like there was a lot of passionate creativity from like everyone involved, like on the animation and the storytelling and all that, and the music and editing and all that. It has that Lego humor to it as well, which is which is fun. For instance, there's one scene where he's talking to Snoop Dogg or whatever before they made like the Drop It Like It's Hot or whatever. And when he meets up with him, you know, Snoop Dogg has like a bunch of Crips behind him in Lego Crips, you know, and they're in this room that's all smoky because it's supposed to be like weed smoke, but they opened the scene up with like them spraying something called PG spray into the air, um, which I don't know. There's a lot of little clever stuff like that, and just like general things you wouldn't necessarily expect to see in a Lego movie. Like
yeah.
there's a Lego drug deal that happens at one point, and as well as a Lego representation of the BLM movement in 2015, which is cool. But it's just like, wow, okay, yeah, we're doing this in Lego now. That's it's canon to the Lego world. Um,
It was bound to happen someday. You know?
it's true, it's true. Block Lives Matter, you know. Um, I just came up with that one on the spot. You know, I'm on
Hey,
fire. I'm on
hey,
fire.
hey, maybe we needed this re-recording for that.
Yeah, just for that, honestly. um, but yeah, there's a lot of creativity and stuff throughout. I did feel throughout though that like the people the movie is made for almost feels like people our age and up who grew up on Legos, and not necessarily for kids. Because I feel like a kid would be really bored during the middle of this movie because it doesn't really like I don't know. It's all like about you know the hits and the career and all that kind of stuff. It's like how much does a kid a know this music and b care about it? But you know there was still some you know there was mostly I don't want to say mostly kids, but there's a lot of families in the theater with us, and there was one next to us, and the kid was kind of a little talkative throughout the whole thing, which was you know one thing, but towards the end of it though there's like a little musical segment at the end that like is highlighting the drums and the music and all that, and he was like kind of drumming along on his seat to it, which I thought was really cool because you know just seeing a kid feel inspired by the movie, and it does have that inspirational tone to it, so it's good. It's not like anything mind-blowing, but I think it's a cool movie if you know for music fans like us and also Lego fans I guess. um uh yeah, would recommend. And then you know John and I spent that time you know tried doing the arm around him move and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did the old Dune bucket.
yeah, yeah, exactly. um no, but then we then we got the food court was still open, so we got Panda Express afterwards. We got some orange chicken and some noodles, chow mein.
Mm.
It was a good time though. Nice spending time with that guy. Uh, fan of the pod. Shout out John. Um,
Fan of the pod, friend of the pod,
mhm. Giving him the
third
most,
host at times.
yeah, giving him the most parasocial relationship. Um, but yeah, did that, And then I not really all too much else happened. I mean, on Friday before we recorded pod number one, I
Mhm.
took my cousin to the airport, and that was good though. I mean, we don't really get a lot of one-on-one time, her and I, so it was nice just being able to do that, talk about stuff. She's going to a wedding in Nebraska, I think. Um,
Oh, it's
yeah,
my favorite place for
yeah,
weddings.
yeah. It's the wedding capital of the world. But you know, but yeah, that was good though. I'll be driving to Chicago, dropping people off. That was my first time dropping someone off at the airport, so gotta
Yeah.
get that life experience in there, of course.
But,
Um, and then yeah. Other than that though, not really all too much. I finished Arkham City, and went and got rid of that and tried to download Arkham Knight, and apparently I was short on space on the computer. So you know,
that's what happened.
what do you mean? That's what happened. Um,
Nothing.
yeah. Um, I went to install Arkham Knight, and I was using a little app that like helps see like the storage and what's taking up the most storage on the computer and all that. And I was deleting things via that app, and I
Oh, this
thought,
audio file is taking up a lot.
what's that?
Oh, this audio file is taking up a lot of room.
Yeah,
That's weird.
no, it was. There were look. I have my video editing service that I use sometimes when Movie Maker isn't working holds on to
Yeah.
files even after you delete them from the project.
Uh,
So like there was like 30 gigabytes of video files just stuck in there, and I thought I was deleting that. I thought I was deleting those, 30 gigabytes of videos that I didn't need and were already gone, but the
yeah.
thing was holding on to. But I was actually deleting all of the videos from my video folder. And that that included nothing. Definitely not the podcast episode. Uh
Of course
no.
not. You wouldn't
Uh
be that stupid.
no. That was your fault, not mine.
Yeah, it was.
But
I'll take the blame.
but I got the space and I played a little Arkham Knight earlier today.
How was that?
I didn't really do too much, with Arkham City, I had to get used to it after Arkham Asylum, and I feel like it's kind of the same with this one. There's a lot of new things. I mean, Batmobile thing, and then uh, looks like the way they're doing the Riddler stuff is a lot different this time around too. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, but it looks good. Looks really good. I love the destructible environments. That's sick as hell.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
oh yeah, but
Are you just rocking with the default suit, or did you get like the free extra ones that you can put on?
for right now, I'm rocking the default, but I probably did get the extras because I believe I got the Game of the Year edition for all of
Mm,
them, and I believe that comes with all the DLC. So I,
yeah.
I probably
That,
have them there somewhere. Yeah.
that rubber pants suit's good.
Oh, there's a Pat
It's
Bat
good.
one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Um,
There's
but
also a bat flag. It's also I've been rocking that one because it's a good suit.
what is it again?
The bat and Affleck bat
Oh, Ben
flag.
Affleck. Okay. Nice. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think those probably are included. I haven't really explored much of the additional features, but if I'm planning on 100%ing this like I did with Asylum and City, then I probably will mess around with those at some point to keep myself entertained. Um, but yeah, other than that, not really. I've said that like four times now. Sorry. Not really too much happened. I do have jury duty starting this coming week. That I forgot to mention last week. I don't have any tomorrow, but I'm supposed to check in at 4:30 p.m. every day to see if I am on for the next day. So that's
Uh,
slightly annoying, but I mean, I guess I don't have to go in and do that. um,
yeah.
can just check online. So I will be keeping an eye out on that, but I am a free man for now. But yeah, that
Until they catch you. That's extra your trial.
until a what? Sorry.
until they catch you. It's actually your
Oh
trial.
yeah. I'm trying to expedite the process, you know. Um, but yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
really about all for me. Um, but there has been some music news that happened this week. Uh, First off, Tyler the Creator, he's back. He's back in
yeah,
teasing
yeah,
for Chromacopia, new album coming out 10/28 on a Monday. Um,
yeah,
so we will be listening to that not for next week's episode, but the week after. Wait, or is it
yeah.
2 weeks up? Wait, because next week's episode
Not
will be there. Yes,
the
the week
Monday
after.
after.
Yeah. um yeah, we'll be able to listen to that and give good thoughts, but it'll be a week after it comes out that you will hear our thoughts. Sorry about that.
That's all right. They'll still check in. Our Tyler episodes have done well.
That's true. Yeah. We did get a lot of views on the Tyler bracket. And Albums Anonymous 4 for some reason. But
Yes, the
um
best.
but yeah, season that kind of seems like it's got like an Igor feel to it, at least just from the cover art and the little snippet we heard. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Igor mixed with some of the darker sounds of his earlier career ish. Um, but who knows? Well, that could sound
The
completely
honest
different.
story is gonna say the absolute.
I
Watch
hope
out.
not. Yeah, I guess there's the possibility.
Yeah,
Although, can he say it now? That's the real question.
yeah, that
Um,
is.
um, but yeah, that's happened. Excited for that.
That was pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that when that little teaser came out and John like posted or said something about it in the group chat, it was like, no way.
yeah,
But it was cool to see that video, and John's also been like, on the edge of his seat waiting for the announcement of the lineup for Camp Floggen, which he's going to
right.
in uh, in a few weeks, and after and Tyler's been pretty radio silent just in general for the past year or whatever, and after he released that teaser, he posted the lineup and was like, took up long enough, good deal,
Mm,
but yeah, John gets a few people he likes to see. He'd like to see Denzel Curry, which I'm kind of jealous of,
yeah,
and um, the owner of his album of the year, the Marias,
yeah.
which which is cool for him. Happy that he gets to see them live since he's been loving that album. But,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah, it'll be cool. Excited for that album. We'll be talking about it.
Absolutely.
Move
Um,
over Brat Summer. It's Chromacopia Fall.
yeah. Chromacopia fall. Yeah. Rolls right off the tongue.
Oh yeah,
um, uh, but yeah, there's that.
Harris is so Chromacopia. Um,
Uh, com, uh, there's some pun in there with her name. Chroma Kamala. Chroma Kamala. We'll do that.
Pharmacopoeia.
Kamalopia. Kamala Chromacopia.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah. All right. Other than that, though, there was also some pretty sad and unfortunate news that happened as
Yes.
well. Liam Payne of One Direction died this week. I still don't know if much detail has been released about it. I haven't seen anything. But all we know is that he fell off a balcony in Buenos Aires, fell like 3 stories. Um, and I think there were stuff being said that he was intoxicated at the time, I believe, is what I was seeing. Um, Apparently, I mean, it's an all sad thing all around. But apparently, he's had a pretty public fight with alcoholism and suicidal depression. So that's kind of what the signs are pointing towards. But it's you know, either way, no matter what, it's pretty unfortunate. I mean, he was 31, and like just super young and super sad way to go, honestly. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, when I was at work when John also sent that in the group chat, and I looked at my watch and there was a notification. I had to look really closely because it was really small on my watch, and I read it and I had to take a double take. I was like, holy shit, what?
Yeah.
Um, like that's like actually crazy.
Yeah.
So, you said it on the first go round of this episode, but it's kind of like the first millennial or Gen Z big cultural death.
Yeah, like Gen Z
Um,
icon, like someone that we looked up to when we were younger.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, and that's pretty crazy. And it's kind of like the first Beatle dying.
Yeah.
Two big music groups. The first dying is shocking. I mean, all of them would be shocking, but like you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
I mean,
But
I was even thinking because I was watching I was watching someone react to the new Deadpool movie today. And there's the In Sync bye 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 in there, and I was thinking about
uh,
something like, man, who would have thought that you know One Direction would lose a member before like In Sync or Backstreet Boys or any of those 90s big ones. It's just wild to think about.
yeah, it is. But yeah, it's really unfortunate, really sad. Rest in peace to Liam Payne.
Yeah.
Um, thoughts and prayers out to his family and everything.
Yeah.
I saw like clips of his dad. He went to the hotel where Liam died, and it's really shitty to see paparazzi everywhere, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, you
Uh,
mentioned the paparazzi the first time as well.
did I? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
TMZ broke the news. I'll get back to the first story in a
Oh
bit,
yeah,
but like
sorry.
yeah, TMZ broke the news about it, which they always somehow manage to get um, info like that instantly. I don't know what it is. Maybe like people in the hospital or something reporting it to them or something like that. But um, it's yeah, they posted not Liam's whole body, but like identifying tattoos on his arms. They were like, "Yep, that's Liam. He's dead."
Yeah.
So, really cool and really sensitive of them to do that. Of that, I love TMZ.
Yeah.
Um, super cool. But yeah, other paparazzi. His Liam's dad went to the hotel
Yeah.
and he got out of the van and he was instantly swarmed with people and cameras in his face and just awful shit. And he got to the hotel and there were some One Direction fans there as well, but they weren't. They were trying to be a little respectful, and they like put their hands in front of the cameras and backpacks up to like block their shots and everything, which is
Mm.
to see.
Yeah.
Um, but still really shitty. I don't understand how you can be a paparazzo. I really don't.
Oh yeah, scum of the earth.
It's
Like
like
actually,
the worst part of people.
I'm
Um,
still surprised at what they can legally get away with as
yes,
paparazzi. But yeah.
I really love when I see celebrities like get in their face and like knock their shit out of their hands and everything.
Yeah.
It's honestly great. I love the ones with Tobey Maguire.
Mm.
I think he like almost ran over him with his car at one point.
Yeah.
But you know, keep fighting the paparazzi because fuck those guys. But
Yeah.
um, not great. Rest in peace to Liam. I've been seeing all the like mute posts from the other members. I think Halsey did a tribute at a concert that
Mm.
had like a picture of them on the screen while she sang the song that they made together or something.
Yeah.
But real sad. But
Yeah.
um,
And
yeah,
I have one more piece of music news too. Uh, this one's not much happier, but maybe less of a downer. I don't know. Uh, but Mr. Kanye West, you know, known non-controversial figure,
yep.
has been accused of sexual assault at a Diddy party. The first time reported this, the first time that we recorded this, I think that's more more accurate. I didn't really have too many details, and I still don't, but I did look into it a little bit more because I was curious. And like, he's being accused of like drugging and raping someone at a Diddy party, which is extremely serious and something that I'm a little sad I haven't heard elsewhere except for like the day it came out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's being like, I think she filed it to the court or something. I don't know if it's being like, I think that's how people found out, is because like it became public through, court documents or something. But yeah, surprise, surprise, Kanye is not a great person. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, uh,
Yeah. Just fuck that guy.
yes,
Seriously, we've been we've been saying it for the past couple of years here on the Broken Boys podcast, but yeah, fuck Kanye West. He's a piece of shit.
yeah,
If you want to listen to his old music, fine, go for it. Um, but don't idolize the man, please, for the love of God.
yeah,
Um, he can take it back. He can apologize for it, and um, he can say oops to saying something like wanting to go DEFCON 5 on all the Jews, or loving Hitler and Nazis, but he can't really take back at all the sexual assault. So
yeah.
if you're gonna forgive the man for that, go fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you're a piece of shit. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, fuck Kanye West.
Yeah, I hope more comes of it in terms of like, you know,
So,
I don't even know what I was gonna say punishment, but like I don't know, public, just like public perception at least. I mean, I feel like it's not a controversial thing to say, like Kanye nowadays, but like there's still way too many diehard fans than there should be for
yeah,
that band. So
a real and solid cancellation that gets this man off of the face of the planet, socially and culturally.
yeah,
Uh, just don't give any attention to Kanye West anymore at all, ever, and
yeah,
that'd be fine. I think we'd be okay.
I
Uh,
think we will too. uh,
um,
that's the last bit of music news I had though.
yeah, I had there's a cool Billie Eilish Converse collab that came out. That's a
Mm,
cool style for that. She's done collabs with like Nike in the past, but this is the first one with like Converse, which are cool shoes. Um, like those. She was also on SNL yesterday.
I saw some stuff
She
on that.
did a performance of Wildflower and Birds of a Feather. Um, Wildflower live is fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, but of course it's Billie Eilish.
yeah.
And then When We Were Young Fest was yesterday, I believe, at least the first day. I don't know if there's multiple, but it first came about a couple years ago, and it was like a bunch of like old bands, like old emo and
Mm,
bands like that, like My Chemical Romance, Pierce the Veil, that kind of thing. Um, we're all there, and the festival had a rule where the bands had to play through um, one album, like choose one album to play through,
like the entire
and
thing.
yeah,
Interesting.
uh, so MCR chose Black Parade, of
Mm.
course. And, lots of really good videos from that. They sound great. Uh, they played House of Wolves and Sharpest Lives for the first time in like 16 years, I
Oh
think they said.
wow.
That's what he said. So, seeing a couple videos from those, and it's like so good. A
Yeah.
couple of cancer videos I saw, and I Don't Love You, stuff like that. But all great. I really, really, really hope that we get a MCR5 soon,
Yeah.
maybe.
Previous
But
artist analysis. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that was cool as well. I think
Hmm.
that's all I got. But
I mean, MCR was also at another festival last week, Fortnite Festival. They, I
oh
think,
yes, that's
yeah,
true.
they got added into that. That's all I
Yes,
gotta
I'm not
say.
a fan.
But
Promise. Got headed.
yeah, yeah, it's
It
pretty
was
fun.
like, yeah, it is. The lineup for this week was added. It was like, uh, I think Five Finger Death Punch, um,
Wasn't
MCR,
I think it was
The
like a
Killer.
Avenged. I think it was like Avenged Sevenfold and like
Oh, Avenged Sevenfold, not Five
yeah,
Finger Death
yeah,
Punch. Avenged Seven, fuck, whatever that band is
yeah.
Disturbed, The Killers, MCR, and then Sabrina Carpenter, which I thought was kind
It was
of
funny.
funny. But yeah, I'm Not Okay, I Promise is very fun to play, as
Yeah.
well as uh, that Killer song that was added. I forget what it's called,
Yeah. I don't think
but
I think I forgot to try that one. Oops, but yeah.
it'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool as well. Please something, MCR, anything, please, God. Do I have to?
Even Fortnite featured artist or whatever it's called.
It's Sunday. Do I have to pray?
Yeah,
Do I have to pray for
maybe.
a new MCR?
Maybe.
Um, but yeah, that's all I got for music.
Cool. I just have a
Like,
couple oh, sorry.
oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. I just have a couple things that were announced. Invincible season 3 was announced
Yeah.
with a little teaser trailer. I really liked season 2, so excited to see where 3 goes. And I like how they were making fun of the stupid mid-season break that they took last time. That was like 3 months long, and
Yeah.
awkwardly placed in the middle of like 6 episodes.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad they realized that was a stupid move. But
I think it was Prime more than anything because I
it
think
might have been.
Prime there was a whole because Prime added like ads in there,
Right.
mid-roll ads for their shows and stuff, and I think that took place within that break. So people were saying that, oh, I think it's just so they can get their ads in to make people buy the better version of Prime or something. So
Oh, it could have been. I don't know. It definitely didn't feel like it was supposed to be split up like that. But I'm looking forward to that. The story just kind of keeps feeling like it's going to get bigger and bigger, which is awesome. Um, and then also a little teaser announcement of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie, of which my friend sent a picture of that in our Discord. It was like said December 2025. I think it might have even had a date, but I don't know how it's set in stone that is.
December 2nd. Thank you.
Yeah, that's over a year away, so that's probably not going to happen. Um, but they sent a picture of that, and I was like, "Sorry, I'm busy that day." um, so, not much interest in that, but a lot of people love that. So, yeah, I mentioned this in our first episode, but I somehow missed that in terms of there's a lot of people our age and probably a little bit younger as well. We're probably on the older end of it, but there's still a lot of people who have a lot of nostalgia and love for that series, and I'm like, okay, I somehow missed that like big fan, you know, being part of that fandom, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely watched like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier play.
Right, I did too,
Five
a
Nights
little
at
bit.
Freddy's.
Yeah.
All of them I watched. I'm pretty sure, other than I think I stopped at 4 and like I watched a little bit of Security Breach, but it was just like I liked it. I liked those series. Mark's whole King of Five Nights at Freddy's was a great bit and a great little frame in time, but um, I was never like a diehard Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, oh, I gotta watch and play and look into the lore for every single game. I was never like a watching every game theory on Five Nights at Freddy's guy.
Mm,
A lot of people like it more than I do, but it's happy for them.
yeah.
But um, in other news, uh, we would have missed this if we didn't have to re-record. But yesterday, Donald Trump and his campaign uh, went to a McDonald's and
Oh, shout out.
to a McDonald's, yippee, and
Yeah.
went and uh, Donald Trump pretended to make fries and hand out orders to
What the
people.
hell?
He took off his suit jacket, put on an apron, and there's a video of him putting fries in a cart for to be handed out, and he's handing food to customers. And there are pictures and videos of him handing people food. But then somebody else went to that McDonald's, and there was a paper on the door that said, "We will be closing at 4:30 p.m. for
Mm,
Donald Trump and his campaign." Um, so it was all staged, and
okay.
he wasn't actually handing out food to real people or anything like that.
What?
Um, what? No. Um, so it was just When and if and when he loses, it's those videos and pictures are gonna be they're gonna get a lot of mileage. So
Yeah.
I'm, I'm pretty excited for that.
I just find that so funny because wasn't it like I don't know like a year ago or so that like I think it was Charlie D'Amelio like worked behind a cash register for like an hour
Yeah.
or something and got like
Uh-huh.
so much shit for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that was just really funny. And also in Trump news, there was a video of. I know you don't have any past or anything in like the WWE wrestling world or anything
Not
like that.
much, no.
Uh, but there was a video, and Trump was on a couch, and on either side of him was the Undertaker and Kane, and
Mm.
the Undertaker was like, "You gotta vote." Uh, and who you want to be with? You want to be with Kamala, Dave Batista, and Tim Walz, or The Undertaker, Kane, and Trump?
I didn't know Dave Bautista was part of their political campaign.
Right. Dave Batista just put out a video where he was like shit talking Trump and calling him a pussy,
Hmm.
and like saying go vote for Kamala. And I guess that Trump was like, well, now I gotta get wrestlers. Um, and the guy who plays Kane in WWE, his name's Glenn Jacobs. He became like a representative in the state of Arizona, I want to say,
Okay.
and he's been very right wing and like shitty, so it makes sense. But you know, and I always assumed that the Undertaker was a little bit Republican, especially with you know the way that he dick rides Vince McMahon, who is the owner of who was the owner of WWE, who was also a very 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 shitty band,
Hmm.
and he loves that guy. And it was like, okay, that's not great. Um, but you know, just to have him in a video sitting next to Donald Trump and supporting him was very disheartening and sad.
Yeah.
Because you know, growing up, I didn't get to watch The Undertaker when I got into wrestling because he was a little past his like regular. Um, he had pretty much retired other than like a yearly appearance at WrestleMania. So like I still liked him, his aura and stuff. I played his video game. I played him in video games and stuff like that. But I didn't get to watch him all that much. And but he was still like an icon and someone I considered one of my favorite wrestlers and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's like people are seeing that and going, "Oh no."
Yeah.
My hero. Oh no. That's Gore of my favorite character. Of my
Yeah.
comfort character.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just really upsetting. So yeah, I'll stick with Dave Batista and Kamala though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was gonna say
Uh,
if anything, it just adds on to, the more I hear about Dave Bautista, the more I like that guy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll stick with Dave Batista. Also, my favorite wrestler, CM Punk. He's a great dude.
Mm,
So he's from Chicago and very liberal. So I'll stick with those guys. Thanks.
there we go.
Yeah, that was a sad thing, but the McDonald's thing was funny.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, we
Yeah.
got an artist analysis to read through.
We sure
One
do.
time,
Yeah. One
um,
more time. I really
one
I
last light.
yeah, yeah. One more light, Colin. Come on.
One last one.
Yeah, you guys didn't get to hear that in the first time we tried to record this. I could not for the life of me remember that the album and the song was called One More Light, and I kept calling it One Last Light. Um, hopefully I'm better at that now, but
I'm hoping so, but it's
yeah,
okay. It'll be funny. So
yeah, yeah. But yes, as Colin was saying, got a little artist analysis. We're gonna go through each of the Linkin Park albums and talk about our thoughts and feelings about them once again to each other. But it's okay. Um, it's the first time for you guys, but it's new to us. Wait, not new. Whatever. First time you guys are hearing it. So we'll
but it's
do our.
okay. I've forgotten everything. Mike's forgotten everything.
Oh yeah.
We'll, we've Men in Blacked each other. So
Yeah, we've Men in Blacked each other. Um, that sounds way worse than
not
it
the
should.
website. Not the website.
um, but Yeah. Before we get into this, though, we should probably talk a little bit about our exposure to Linkin Park prior to this, what we knew going in. For me personally, I knew the big hits. I knew the big songs like fairly well. Like I heard them in passing, and could probably sing for you most of them, most of the tune.
Mhm.
Um, and then that was pretty much it though. Like I knew that they had like a metalish vibe, that metalish, like metal like vibe that slowly turned more pop over the years. And I knew people were not fans of that, but I wanted to go in fresh minded, seeing how that progression worked from an outside point of view, where I'm not listening to them for like 7 years as a metal band, and then all of a sudden they're pop, and I'm like, you can't do that. So, want to get that in there. But yeah, I mostly just knew the big songs. I didn't know much of the deeper cuts.
Yeah. I was mostly in the same boat. I'm a very general fan. I talked about it recently that I listened to Hybrid Theory um, after like the whole after the return of Linkin Park a month or so ago. Um, and yeah, I'm mostly like Mike, where I know like the big hits and stuff like that. But I was unaware of the progression into pop that they did. Um, so you'll hear my thoughts as I slowly but surely understand what was happening. Um, but yeah, I like Linkin Park. I like their vibe. I heard them through Guitar Hero and stuff like that. My dad had the Hybrid Theory CD and would play that sometimes too. So
Mm. Is your dad
um,
into Linkin Park like that?
he likes. I talked to him earlier today, and he was like, I told him about my feelings about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't like much past the second album." So,
Hmm.
um, he, you know, he was a Linkin Park guy for the first couple, for the first couple, uh, but not anymore. So we'll
Cool.
see.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, would you like to get us started?
I sure can.
Okay.
And we start this album anonymous album artist analysis
Hmm.
uh, in 2000, not 1999, with
It
Hybrid Theory.
sure is 2000. Yes.
There is. And I started off by saying I've already talked about this album recently, but damn, is it a great debut! From the moment Chester, Mike, and the rest stepped into the studio, it seemed that they knew exactly what they wanted to create for Linkin Park, and I love that. Um, before I realized it was new metal, uh, I called it Beastie Boys esque rap rock with a more serious with a more serious tone, reminiscent of a band like Rage Against the Machine. And I thought that was super cool and unique. Um, but now that after I realized it was new metal, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. I'm kind of dumb.
Hmm.
But I said I absolutely love the rasp in Chester's voice and how it lends to his screaming, which is something I'm becoming more and more partial to as I keep listening to music that it's present in. Um, there's just something about Chester's though that is like super super fucking good. He always had a great voice for that, and I think it's helped me enjoy screaming, especially as well as when Tyler does it in 21 Pilots.
Hmm.
That has also helped. But I also love how consistent Mike Shinoda's voice is throughout this album as well, and how it complements the other half of the songs next to Chester. This is a really great and iconic for a reason debut with a great production and songwriting, and I can't wait to hear the rest. But yeah, just super impressive debut. Crazy that it is a debut because it all feels really self-realized and super just like crazy good for a first album from a band. But great album, and my favorites were In the End, Crawling, Paper Cut, Crawling Again, Points of Authority, A Place for My Head, and Runaway. And my least favorite was Carefully Itch, and I gave it a decent 9.
All right. Cool. Yeah, Hybrid Theory 2000. Fun fact, I've listened to the official 100 gecs remix of One Step Closer so many times now that the original version sounds a little uncanny to me. Um, that's got to be some sort of sin LMAO. Anyways, hybrid theory. I was a little curious how this album was going to sound, as I almost solely associate this old Linkin Park sound with like 240p Call of Duty montages and RuneScape music videos, which are a very real thing. Uh,
Mhm.
and while that vibe is still there in the music, just a tad, I wouldn't necessarily call that a bad thing because it has like an inherent charm to it. In all my years of listening to music, I'm not sure if I've ever heard electronics be incorporated into like this heavy of a rock mix before and still have it all sound good, you know? And it sounds very good even. But somehow, against all odds, every synth choice, every drum machine, and every little electronic turntable sound added in is done extremely tastefully. And then, with the addition of Mike Shinoda's rapping, you get just this iconic mix of styles and genre blending that they're known for, and it just works. And of course, Chester Bennington at the helm is absolutely incredible. His presence is demanding on every track, and the way he can seamlessly switch between those heavy screams and his light singing voice is just impeccable. Um, Aside from the big tracks here, I came in completely blind. I ended up really gravitating towards some of the heavier, groovier tracks, like the opener "Paper Cut" by myself, and especially a place for my head. Good God, that track was incredible, and I've never even heard discussion about it before, and I really enjoyed it. Um, the big tracks were all the big tracks were all also fantastic. Although I will say that Crawling felt the most aged out of the ones I was familiar with. I still thought it was a pretty good track, but I didn't quite love it like I did some of the others. Um, but unfortunately, I don't think the album is perfect. While it's consistently good, I did find some of the tracks to just sort of fill the time. The instrumental towards the end, Cure for the Itch, felt pretty aged in comparison to everything else here, and it honestly threw off some of the pacing for me by being the penultimate track. If it were like an interlude towards the middle, I would maybe understand it a little bit more, but it's roughly the same length as the other songs here, and it's not really all that good, to be honest. I also found the closer to be a little weak. Not a bad track by any means, but it didn't do anything that I hadn't heard from the rest of the record. All in all, though, this record kicks ass at its peaks and very much deserves the love that it consistently gets. I feel like I can still feel the influence of this record in some of today's music, especially since a lot of the artists nowadays were raised on this project. And for this being a debut, absolutely incredible. I don't know how you can come out with your sound already this polished, kind of like Colin was saying. It's just, yeah, it's a crazy debut record for sure. um,
Yeah.
my favorites are A Place for My Head, In the End, One Step Closer, Paper Cut, By Myself, and Crawling. My least favorites were Cure for the Itch, With You, and Pushing Me Away. And overall, I gave it a strong 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Meteora is our next album from the year 2003. This was an interesting one for me because I feel like the tracks I was gravitating towards most were the ones that were trying something a little different. Aside from Numb, all of the tracks that sounded akin to Hybrid Theory felt a little less punchy on this one. I don't know exactly what it was, but I wasn't really feeling them as much this time around. And to be completely honest, it could just be that I wasn't in the right headspace on first listen, and I think this one deserves another chance because of that. I was feeling a little off the night that I listened to this one. um, but uh, but even if I didn't find it as consistently rewarding, I still think the highlights were incredible on here. One track I was really looking forward to was Breaking the Habit. It was a track that my ex had shown me at one point, and I've always had it in my rotation ever since. I just think it's a fantastic track. And at this moment in time, it's probably my favorite Linkin Park song. Everything about it plays directly into my favorite musical aspects, and I think it's just executed perfectly from start to finish. Also, I was latching a bit more to the lyrics of this project as a whole. There was definitely good stuff that could be found on the previous record too. But something about the way he talked about mental health on this one felt a little bit more relatable to me personally, and it drew me into some of the tracks that I wasn't feeling as much on the instrumental end. But there was some stuff that went a bit in one ear and out the other for me. I thought the opener "Don't Stay" was just all right. It had the energy, but it didn't strike as hard as the last record. Faint is a track with a lot of streams and a high album of the year score, but I personally didn't quite get the hype about it. Again, it could totally be the headspace in which I consumed it in. And then a decent chunk of the deeper cuts were enjoyable, but not too notable for me. So yeah, a very consistently good album with stellar highlights, but not quite as consistent as Hybrid Theory for me. Not quite as like the peaks weren't as wait, yeah, not it was consistently good. I thought Hybrid Theory was even more consistently good. There we go. My favorites were Breaking the Habit, Numb, Lying from You, Nobody's Listening, Easier to Run, Somewhere I Belong. And my least favorites were Don't Stay, Faint, and Figure 9. And overall, I gave it a light 8.
Yeah, Meteora, 2003. No sophomore slump for these guys. The energy that was present on Hybrid Theory is here, but this time feels more grungy, dirty, and angry to me, which works extremely well for this band. I feel like Chester gets a lot of time to shine himself on this album, which I'll never be upset about. But he sounds absolutely fantastic throughout this entire project. His singing, of course, but his screams are like straight up earth shattering. I love it. I think the production has about the same quality as their debut, maybe just a little more refined, with some cool new stuff done, with like strings added in songs,
Hmm.
such as the sample used in Faint. Um, but and also like that cool scratchy record DJ sound that's I'm pretty sure was present on Hybrid Theory, but is present a couple of times on here as well. But I wanted to put that out because I like that sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also the transitions were super well done and on point between the songs. Meteora. I didn't realize how much of this album that I recognized, but I know a good few songs. Lots of bangers on here though. Maybe not as good in my opinion as Hybrid Theory, but still very very good. Lots of bangers. Great record. And my favorites were Numb, Faint, Figure 9, From the Inside, Somewhere I Belong, and Breaking the Habit. And my least favorites were Nobody's Listening, Session, and Hit the Floor. And I gave it a solid 8.
Cool.
Very cool.
Cool,
All
cool,
right.
cool.
Up next, we got Minutes to Midnight in 2007. And I started off by saying, oh, what happened? Uh, I understand new metal wasn't nearly as popular as it was when they first began this journey compared to 2007, but they really left it almost completely behind for some generic alt rock sound. Oof. It's not all negative. I think that Chester's singing gets highlighted pretty well across this album, and there are a couple tracks, especially Given Up, that highlight his screaming. There's a great video of a live performance of this song where he does that long scream, just straight up, no breaths, nothing, and it's incredible. I definitely recommend you go watch that because, goddamn, impressive.
Mm.
Um, but um, but even though there's that crazy screaming moment, that's another thing that is largely missing from this record as well. But you know what else is largely missing from this album?
Hmm.
Mike Shinoda. Uh, Dude was present for like 4 songs, at least front and center wise, and I feel like the Likin Park, uh, like formula is about the chemistry of the two leads. So
Yeah.
that not really being there in the same way as the last couple records sucked for me too. I understand wanting to switch things up. When it's done in such a mid way after 2 really good albums, it's just disappointing. So, you know, as new metal died and became irrelevant, I understand they had to move to a different genre. So, but you know, just moving into more poppy alt rock area just was not did not make me happy. So, but anyway, my favorites were What I've Done, which was a song Guitar Hero World Tour that I remember from childhood.
Hmm.
That's a great track. Given Up, The Little Things Give You Away, No More Sorrow, and In Between. And my least favorites were Hands Held High, Bleed It Out, Leave Out All the Rest, and In. I don't know what that says.
I feel like it was the same song last time. You couldn't read either.
In Pieces.
In
And I
pieces.
gave this album a strong 5.
All right. Okay. Yeah, Minutes to Midnight, 2007. Um, I knew that there would come a time in this listening excursion that Linkin Park would travel over to a poppier sound. So I did my best to go into this project with an open mind on that change in direction. But honestly, I just don't think they bring anything unique to the pop world, and definitely nothing as unique as they were bringing to the rock/metal worlds. The best way I can put it is like this: the previous two albums still felt fresh to me nowadays due to their passionate energies amongst every band member and a willingness to experiment with ideas. Meanwhile, this album, while admittedly it is doing something different for the band, it just sounds extremely dated and extremely safe musically to my ears nowadays. Um, Now, that doesn't mean that this album is all bad. I do like the fact that they are attempting a more mature album with a focus on some more political commentary and blunt mental health lyricism. I love Chester's performances on most tracks, and Mike Shinoda also had more time to shine on here, with the two of them doing harmonized vocals on more than one occasion. And it's completely possible maybe I just noticed the vocal harmonies and didn't quite notice him being absent as much as you did, potentially. But yeah, the passion and the lyric writing is still there too, such as the great verses that Mike Shinoda gives on Hands Held High. But this exact track is also the prime example of how boring this album is instrumentally. There's not really a way to sugarcoat this, but I couldn't help but realize that this album sounds nearly identical to the contemporary Christian rock that I was raised on, minus like the harder tracks on this album. But it would be sick if those Christian bands just started ripping it like that. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of the content.
Skillet.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, that's basically Skillet. Arguably 21 Pilots sometimes too. Um, a lot of the
Oh,
a lot of the content on this album though is just kind of slow for the sake of being slow, and the band does not have the production or the instrumental skills to keep the sound interesting throughout, at least from what they're displaying. um it just sounds super watered down in comparison to their older work, and even in comparison to rock bands who can pull off a slower sound. But this just does close to nothing for me outside of a few tracks. It's not like bad, but I did find it to be pretty incessantly boring, if I'm being honest. Shout out to What I've Done though, for all the Michael Bay memes. Those have been pretty fire. The like if Oppenheimer was made in 2007 and then what I've done is playing. Great stuff. Anyways, my favorites on here are Given Up, What I've Done, and In Between. And my least favorites were Hands Held High, In Pieces, and Bleed It Out. And overall, I gave it a decent 6.
mm.
All right. Moving on to A Thousand Suns from 2010. Speaking of Oppenheimer, holy shit, Oppenheimer said the thing. Oppenheimer said the thing. Um, yeah. This was a nice surprise when we were getting into this artist analysis. I really was not expecting them to get into any territory that has like this patient and ambient of a sound to it. Um, from the first moments of the album, the tone just feels completely different, and I think they're actually doing a great job transitioning into this artsier style on here. One of the strongest things this record has going for itself is the pacing. The transitions between tracks, the ambient interludes bringing us from song to song, the social commentary that can be found in some of the sampled historical clips. That's what I was referencing at the beginning. They sampled Oppenheimer. I honestly think it culminates in beautifully into this fully realized project. I enjoyed the direction on this project much more than the last. And Chester and Mike are absolutely killing it on here. These are honestly some of my favorite performances from both of them. Chester does much more singing on here, and it really shows off how strong that part of his vocal talents are. In fact, the one song where he was screaming pretty heavily throughout honestly felt a little awkward and unnecessary. I really loved just his melodies and vocal timbres that he chose on here. I think he did really great with it. Um, However, I still found some of the elements presented on these tracks to be less than desirable. For one, there are points here that do fall back into that boring Christian rock type sound, and I just can't really get behind that. And one of those songs being Iridescent, which is a bigger song on here, was giving me those vibes. But it's weird because I do love the sentiment behind that track, especially given the added weight of Chester's passing now. But I just don't like the song of the sound. I don't like the sound of the song itself. Um,
Yeah.
there's also some elements here that feel pretty dated. It's like if you took things from 2010 Black Eyed Peas tracks, but put it into rock soundscapes and better production. Um, but it's still noticeable that there's sounds you'd hear in a 2010 Black Eyed Peas song. Admittedly, I think it's done well on some parts here, but it's still pretty a prevalent sore spot, aging the album a little bit. And looking at the album as a whole, I think the first half is a bit better and feels a little more interconnected within itself than some of the final tracks on here. But all in all, I'm leaving this one pretty surprised and impressed by its ambition. I think the outcome led to some really cool experiments and successful tracks for the band. Not everything stuck the landing for me, but the stuff that did was really surprising and probably some of the best poppy Linkin Park stuff I've heard to date. Waiting for the End, in particular, was a really fantastic moment that felt like this unique blending of their styles and a really, really cool experience. It kind of feels like the pinnacle of potential in their pop stylings, which is also another way I would describe this record as a whole. But I'm hoping to be proved wrong by that and maybe enjoy some of their poppier stuff down the road. But my favorites were Waiting for the End, When They Come for Me, The Requiem, Wretches and King. Oh, and Wretches and Kings. And my least favorites were Blackout, The Catalyst, and Iridescent. And overall, I gave it a strong 7.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh.
Thousand Suns. So they heard the criticisms, mine specifically,
Mm-hmm.
obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and created another solid album. I could smell a concept while listening, so I looked it up, and it's supposed to be about fears, like nuclear warfare, hence the Oppie speech and the speech about the Vietnam War in there too. Um, I love a concept album, and I think this is a fairly well done one. It's still mostly in that alt rock styling from the last projects, but a lot more refined and well done this time around.
Yeah.
At points, it reminded me of one of the of Radiohead, like an OK Computer, or maybe In Rainbows type way. I think it's like mostly those moments of like, um, how'd you put it? It was like
Like the
just
more
like the sound
ambient ideas.
and yeah,
Yeah.
um, in those ways. And I enjoyed that aspect of it as well. I think it's produced really well. Chester sounds great, and the chemistry is back more too, which I appreciate. Um, I still don't think it's as good as the first two, but it is, but on its own, away from those and without like anchoring those as like the Linkin Park sound. Um, I think this is a cool route for Linkin Park, and I wouldn't mind another concept album in the same vein. I think if done correctly, it would be really, really good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm. I was happy to have this little gem in the middle, in between some good and not so good. But my favorites were Iridescent, The Catalyst, Robot Boy, Burning in the Skies, When They Come for Me, and Wretches and Kings. And my least favorites were Jornada del Muerto, Empty Spaces, and The Requiem. And I give it a light 7.
Cool.
All right.
Alrighty.
We got Living Things in all caps in 2012. Man, what happened?
Yeah.
After a cool concept album with a well thought out and put together tracks, we got this messy mid ass project that somehow manages to be even more mid than Midnits to Midnight. They're still rocking, but leaning more on like electric synthy sounds, but not in the sick new metal way that they were in the beginning. More in like that shitty pop, maybe Black Eyed Peas esque way that Mike was talking about on Thousand Suns.
Yeah.
But uh, you know, like I said, to me, this just feels messy. There's nothing that really stands out on this one. Uh, Chester is doing what he does and doing it well. Mike is also doing his thing, though I think he had a couple more singing parts rather than like the mostly rap or spoken word stuff. So I guess that's an interesting newer thing that hasn't been like super present um, in the past couple. But yeah, this one is just really mid with nothing that I think I'd really return for. I think they might have needed more than just 2 years between albums because
Yeah.
this one coming out just a couple years after A Thousand Suns didn't do anything for them. So my favorites were Castle of Glass, Skin to Bone, In My Remains, and Burn It Down. My least favorites were Lies, Greed, Misery, Roads Untraveled, Until It Breaks, and Victimized, and I gave it a light 5.
All right. Um, I pointed this out in the last episode, but I think it deserves to be pointed out again. Both of our reviews start with man, comma, which I think is just funny for this album. But yeah, man, it's really disappointing to go from a creative high point in the band's discography straight into a creative low point. Honestly, I was not a huge fan of this. I didn't find it bad for the most part, but I found it very dull and very overproduced. Honestly, the production was my main qualm with this album, so I'll start there. This just sounds like your typical 2010s quote unquote rock album. And by that, I mean it's an overblown mess with drums and electronics as loud as mechanically possible in the mix just to make it feel quote unquote full.
Yeah.
It's just grating, and I honestly felt fatigued after listening to it. I also just found it all extremely dull and boring. I have tracks listed in my favorites category here, but I've already forgotten what they sound like, except for the closer, which felt like it had a bit of personality, and I wrote that right after listening to the album. um, yeah, I feel like I need to express again. Most of the album isn't bad, but it is bland and kind of the epitome of rock groups gone pop in the 2010s. Chester and Mike still sound good from what I can hear through the mix, and I may have preferred the actual songs if Chester and Mike, were a little bit more prevalent in the mix themselves. But I don't know, listening to a truly creatively exciting project like the last album, just for it to be followed up by a creatively bankrupt one like this, just kind of twists that knife a little bit more for me. I can't really say I was a fan of this one, unfortunately. My favorites were Castle of Glass, Powerless, and Roads Untraveled, and my least favorites were Until It Breaks, Burn It Down, Skin to Bone, and In My Remains. And overall, I gave it a decent 5.
Ah,
Yeah,
all right.
I'm slightly above you on a lot of these, a lot of
Yeah,
these albums, which is interesting. But
unexpected.
no, all right. Next album we have going to 2014. 2 more years. We're jumping to The Hunting Party. Uh, well, this was a surprise change of pace. Not gonna lie, I already kind of know what to expect with One More Light, as I was talking about earlier, and with how the previous record went, I thought we were gonna get poppy from here on out, but instead, we get kind of poppy with a capital P. Thank you for giving me that two episodes in a row. That was a terrible joke, and I immediately apologize. And yes, I wrote that down. Um, Cringe dad jokes aside, though, we do venture into a much heavier sound, with probably the most metal this band has ever gotten. The riffs are huge and distorted, and the drums are double kicked and blasting, and Chester's screams have never sounded more at home with a backing instrumental. The energy is palpable from start to finish, and I think it's executed pretty well. Although there's one issue, I'm just not a big metal guy, and this really delves into the territories of metal that I just can't really get into personally. Is it done well? To my ears, yes, but I just don't get excited by this genre as much as others do. But I like the riffs. I liked Chester's hooks a lot more than recent projects, and I think this was a good step for the band, to be honest. They can obviously pull it off, and I think it's cool that they fully dove into the genre this boldly. But it's just not for me, even if I'm still leaving the project pretty positively. My favorites are Guilty All the Same, A Line in the Sand, All for Nothing, Wastelands, and Drawbar. And my least favorites were Keys to the Kingdom and Rebellion. And overall, I gave it like a really light 7.
All right. The Hunting Party. I'm kind of confused by this one. I enjoyed the heaviness of this album, whether it be the instrumentals or the amount of screaming from Chester, but unfortunately, there's nothing that super stands out on this record for me. There's no one song that I truly that truly piqued my interest or that I think will really stick with me past this first listen through. Um, but I don't think, but I also don't think there was a song that I truly disliked either. There was nothing there's nothing that I feel like I'll really be returning to. Like I said, I also feel like Mike is largely missing from this record as well, which I haven't been a fan of. Though he's still there prominently on a few tracks. Another thing on this record that didn't really vibe with me was the features. To me, they didn't really do a whole lot, and I barely even noticed a difference on the tracks that they were present on. Um, but I was most disappointed by the one with Tom Morello on Drawbar.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be with him being the lead guitarist on Rage Against the Machine for it to be a cool, well written, heavy Linkin Park song with cool, really heavily pedaled and like heavily a guitar with a lot of effects on it, like Tom Morello does, like the wiki wiki wiki,
Right.
that stuff,
Wikis, yeah.
the wiki wikis, but on guitar, record
Hmm.
scratching. Um, but we didn't get that. It was just a instrumental track, which like while it wasn't a bad instrumental track, it was just not what I was expecting um, and not something that I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to what I just said, and it was just like, damn, really? they,
Yeah, that's
they
fair.
didn't use Umbrella at all. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's nothing great. Um, but I did enjoy the heavier sound. Otherwise, but my favorites were Guilty All the Same, War, Keys to the Kingdom, All for Nothing, and Until It's Gone. And my least favorites were The Summoning, Rebellion, and Drawbar. And I gave this one a light 6.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So now for our finale of this discography thus far, and
Hmm.
at least with Chester, we have One More Light in 2017. Um, what in the One Republic AJR was this shit?
Yeah.
Everything everything that made Linkin Park so great at the beginning is absolutely and completely gone at this point. Minus Chester and Mike, of course, but like, what the fuck were they thinking? For this to be Chester's last work before he passed away is so sad because while he gives a heartfelt performance throughout, the magic of this band is nowhere to be found. I can honestly say I only liked two songs on this record, one of which being the title track, of which the lyrics are so unbelievably tragic with how Chester left this life.
Yeah.
Um, but that is a standout in their discography and especially on this album. But the rest was just not good in any way. It was generic pop rock with whatever the fuck AJR makes, and it just did not work at all for me. Really, really disappointing last album for this artist analysis and for this discography thus far. And also, whatever that one track with Stormzy on it was,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know what the fuck that was or what they were thinking with that, but really bad. Really not good. My favorites were One More Light and Battle Symphony. My least favorites were Good Goodbye, Invisible, Talking to Myself, Heavy, and Halfway Right. And I gave this album a light 3.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, One More Light in 2017. This is a hard record to review, due to the context of what would come only a couple months after it was released. I wanted nothing more than to come into this project and to see it from a different point of view than the public opinion, like to see that it was misunderstood by everyone else or something, but it's just not. Despite this being the final musical expression from Chester, and despite the album holding the powerful ballad that is the title track, which becomes even harder hitting in context, I just think that this album pulls from all the wrong influences at the time. I'm a huge 21 Pilots fan. So is Colin over here.
Yeah.
If you didn't know. um, and knowing that Chester was a big fan of Blurryface, and actually I was looking at more stuff after this, he was kind of a big fan of 21 Pilots in general. Um, I feel like the Blurryface influence in particular can be felt a lot of the times throughout this record, but not in a good way. It oftentimes reminds me more of AJR and Imagine Dragons. And actually, I really liked your One Republic as well. That's very accurate.
Yeah.
It reminds me more of them than it does 21 Pilots, which is a problem. um, the production is overblown. The vocal chopped EDM stylings are extremely dated, and Chester just doesn't sound good over this production. And neither does Mike Shinoda for his couple of tracks. It all just sounds as squeaky clean as possible for pop music, and it just does not suit their style at all, and was honestly a little hard to sit through. But the track itself, One More Light, deserves its own highlight here. This is one of the few times that they truly strip back their productions on one of their album or their production in one of their albums. The song is basically just a beautiful bell-like synth and some light electrical guitar, and then Chester's passionate vocals over top, singing about death and its effects on the world. Um, Say what you will about this album, but this track is an absolute tearjerker to this day, and it's become kind of the swan song for his legacy, in my opinion. I began watching a lot of videos on this track in particular after listening to this album. From they did Chester did a performance of this on Jimmy Kimmel after Chris Cornell had taken his own life. Then after Chester did the same, they released a posthumous music video that celebrates Chester and his connection to the fans and him singing this song live or whatever. And then also I saw a video of Mike Shinoda performing it 2 years, after this album came out at a solo show. And just every single time I got teary eyed. It's an incredible track, and honestly, it doesn't fit at all on this album, but it would be an absolute travesty if it wasn't included. Um, but so unfortunately, I do not like this album, and I think it's easily their worst. I wish it didn't have to end on a note like this, but at least the title track feels like a deserving send off to a monumental figure in the music scene. And then I put a little rest in peace Chester Bennington at the bottom of it. But my favorites on here were One More Light by far. And then I also highlighted Talking to Myself and Nobody Can Save Me. If I remember correctly, I think I liked the hooks on them. I thought they were kind of catchy, but you know, that was about it. And my least favorites were Sorry for Now, Heavy, Battle Symphony, Good Goodbye, Invisible, and Halfway Right. And overall, I gave it a strong 4, which might be a little
Yeah.
generous. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts, though. Overall thoughts. Linkin Park are one of those bands that have a legendary status and oh my god, I'm slurring over my words slightly, and an extremely dedicated fan base. um, but I can completely see why they have that dedicated of a fan base. From the passionate writings and performances of Chester Bennington to the undeniably strong back catalog, I can absolutely see why people gravitate towards this band, especially those growing up in the 2000s. When doing this review, I remembered Anthony Fantano. He mentioned in his Trench review, Trench by 21 Pilots, he kind of compared that record to Hybrid Theory in that it kind of speaks to the same demographic of people, just of a different generation. And I think that's completely accurate, honestly. I could totally see myself loving the shit out of most of these albums in another timeline. And so for that, I do hold an appreciation for what these albums provide to others and their musical tastes. I may not connect with the stuff in current times, but I completely get it. And then as for the future of the band, I don't really know what to think, to be honest. I think Emily Armstrong certainly has the vocal capabilities to fit in the same lane as Chester, but just as more has come out about her connections to Scientology and some other shady stuff with supporting some weird people, it just I don't know. Some of it is just a little strange. And I let's just say that I preferred Chester Bennington outside of the music. I think he was a really cool person outside the music. So I'll just say that we'll see how the band's music evolves with a new setting. But for now, I think Chester's impact on the musical world cannot be understated, and it will continue to serve as an influence for decades to come. And that's all I wrote there. Yep.
All right. Uh, for my overall thoughts, I said this artist now kind of hurt. In my mind, Linkin Park was this iconic new metal band that everyone loves and did no wrong. Um, but I guess I know now why I never hear or have heard anyone talk about their albums past the first couple. Uh, I don't think they were incapable of making good music past 2010. A Thousand Suns was great. I really enjoyed it. Maybe not like great, but it was a lot better than Minutes to Midnight and anything past that. Um, but I think if they stopped trying to be relevant with the times, switching genres to this poppy alt rock kind of genre that just did not work for them. I think if they just stuck with new metal, as that was what worked for them, even if it was not, you know, hit or with the times, I think that would have lended better and more positive would have come out of the discography if that had been done. Um, like I said, I understand wanting, feeling like you need to change with the times, wanting to do different styles. I get that, but when it was done in such a mid and disappointing way, it was just kind of like, I don't know, guys. I
Yeah.
think I think Mike Shinoda, I think Chester Bennington are and were fantastic influences on the music world, and their influences can be seen throughout many of present day music, as Mike said earlier.
Mm.
Um, and Chester is sorely missed, but I think that those first couple records are fantastic, and anyone should go listen to them. But choose wisely with what you listen to past that.
Yeah.
And rest in peace, Chester. And hope you're doing good wherever you are. And yeah, and to shine some light on, uh, and to not defend, but just to share some info about Emily Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is a Scientologist. Or at least she was. Maybe I don't know. She might still be. But people in Scientology aren't like super open about that. And if she is, or if she doesn't want to be anymore, she also can't be open about that because Scientologists, the people that run that shit, will ruin your fucking life. So I understand her not talking about that. Um, the supporting a rapist thing was about Danny Masterson, who played Hyde on that '70s show, who is I think he was also a Scientologist,
Mm.
but he is in prison now for raping women, which thank God.
Yeah.
But she posted an Instagram story and stuff, yeah, an Instagram story where she explained that she does not stand with what she did back when that was happening. She's not friends with Danny Masterson anymore, and she regrets having done that. But she was just, trying to stand by a friend and taking her friend's word for what was happening. And so, it's a little icky. It is icky for sure. But I'm glad that she addressed it, and it says that she's no longer friends with him because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just I hope that From Zero is good because I think the discography needs it. I liked The Emptiness Machine, the first single that they released. I haven't listened to the second one
Mm.
yet, but with the album being a little less than a month away, I'm excited to hear it. I think Emily has a great voice, and it'll lend well to the stylings of Linkin Park, but we'll see. And for the discography and for the band's sake, I hope it's good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, rest in peace, Chester. We miss you.
Yeah.
But my album ranking for Linkin Park is Hybrid Theory, Meteora, A Thousand Suns, The Hunting Party, Minutes to Midnight, Living Things, and One More Light. And I gave them an overall rating of a solid 6.
Cool. And then I found it amusing that for 7 albums, we have the exact same ranking, which I feel might be a first of this many albums before. Yeah, my ranking is exactly the same: Hybrid Theory, Meteora, A Thousand Suns, The Hunting Party, Minutes to Midnight, Living Things, and then One More Light. and overall I gave them a light 7. So
Yeah,
yeah,
a little more positive than me, but
yeah, just
it's all
slightly.
right.
Yeah, maybe I was feeling positive this week. I don't know, but I think partially what it is though is kind of like what I was talking about in my thing is like I can see why other people enjoy them, and I kind of give them the benefit of
Yeah.
the doubt because of that. Like that factors into my score just a little bit.
Mm.
But that also is just if I had to listen to more of these albums more than once, I may change my mind on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It might have also helped with the fact that you knew that they went in a more poppy direction, but I didn't.
oh, you
So
didn't know that?
yeah, no, I did not.
Yeah, I knew what to expect when going into most of these things, which is why the really metal one like completely surprised me.
Yeah,
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 but
but that was our analysis on Linkin Park. I hope you
yeah.
enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Go check out Hybrid Theory and Meteora for sure,
Yeah,
and the song More Light.
and I would
Um,
even recommend potentially A Thousand Suns too. I think they do.
oh
I think that there's interesting things to be found on that album. That's done pretty well.
yeah, yeah,
But
I agree with that as well.
yeah,
But yeah,
cool.
we can. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hop on into our uh song of the week little thing that we do every week.
Mm.
Um, and for me, I'm up first this week for song of the week. And while I did mention a song earlier that I really enjoyed and is probably my favorite Linkin Park song, I think I'll save it for another time because I just think it's while we're here and talking about Chester's entire presence with this band, I think it's only appropriate that we highlight the track that I consider to be his swan song. So because of that, yeah, I'm going to choose One More Light, the song by Linkin Park.
Who cares if one more light goes out? Well, I do.
All right, that was One More Light by Linkin Park. What'd you think of that, Colin?
Yeah, that song's absolutely gorgeous, absolutely tragic. I love it. Chester sounds super fucking good on it. He sounds super sincere and genuine, and just like putting a very heartfelt performance on for that track, and it deserves it. Um, Definitely the standout on that album, but
Yes.
like, like I said, also a standout in their discography, and I would definitely recommend going to listen to that song in full if you haven't heard it,
Yeah.
or if you have heard it.
Yeah. Yeah, even if you have. Yeah, I completely stand by all that you said there. And then like I was saying before, I just think I think it perfectly communicates a message about the effects of death on other people, but in a positive way as well. Just in terms of like I care and stay here
Mm.
with us, which it's extremely bittersweet with Chester's passing and how he couldn't really internalize that own message for himself, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful track that I think is well deserving of the kind of treatment it gets nowadays with how it represents Chester and his passing. Um,
Mm.
I don't know. It's an extremely beautiful, touching moment, and something that deserves to be highlighted. So that's what I
Yeah,
did.
perfect.
Cool. What do you
Well,
got?
well, Hybrid Theory and Meteora were definitely my favorites out of the discography, as I've made perfectly obvious. But I do believe that something off of Meteora deserves at least one more listen from you to solidify your need to check that out again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the song that has a lot of streams from
Mm.
Meteora. I'm gonna go with "Faint" by Likin Park.
All right.
But I'll be here because you're all that I got.
All right, that was "Faint" by Linkin Park. What'd you think, Mike?
I think I was smoking something when listening to Meteora. um, Something not good either. Did not help. Yeah, no, I mean, I realized this. I mean, to pull back the current a little bit, I realized this last week, last week, a couple days ago, when we recorded this episode the first time. That like, oh yeah, Faint. I had this in my least favorite tracks, but this actually slapped. This like sounds so good, which just
Yeah.
proves to me, like Colin was saying before, that I do need to go back and just listen to Meteora just to completely know how I feel about that album.
Mhm.
Kind of same with, I still need to do that with Room on Fire by Strokes, because I did the same thing for that artist analysis. But anyways, yeah, no, this song was great. I do love the energy all throughout. I think the way it switches between Chester and Mike is just super seamless. I think it was just like the sample of the strings that was getting on my nerves for some reason when I first listened to it, but when we listened again, I was like, okay, yeah, that actually is pretty great. um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a great track.
yeah, that song fucks. I absolutely love Faint, and
Yeah.
about between the two that I feel is so integral to the energy of Linkin Park. And that song like perfectly um, just exemplifies that. Chester's screaming on this one is absolutely fantastic and earth shattering, as I said for my Meteora
Oh.
review. But yeah, I just love this track. I think it's fantastic and big for a reason.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Sick. Alrighty. Well, unless you got anything else to add, Colin, I think I think
come
we're
on,
all
good.
good again. We're all good again. We done did it.
More time.
Well,
More.
oh, Colin actually deleted again. I'm sorry. Or I mean, your profile picture was flagged by the homophobes. Um, anyways, if you're listening on streaming services, dear viewer, we love you to death, of course, as always. Um, but you can come on over to YouTube and see Colin's beautiful, sexy profile picture, as well as my beautiful, sexy profile picture of a man.
Yes.
And you can come see what that means by coming over to our YouTube channel under the same name, Broken Boys, capital N BOIS. You can see that as well as links to all of the stuff that we have down there, which I will now describe in detail. Um, one of those being the song of the week playlists that segment we just did. We have 3 playlists down there corresponding to all the episodes we've done over these 209 or 190 episodes. Um, and down there we got a playlist for me, we got one for Colin, and we got one for both of our songs combined. And in those playlists, you can find both "Faint" by Linkin Park as well as "One More Light" by Linkin Park. And yeah, go check those out. A lot of good music in there. Um,
No,
as for me, I make music under the name Plaintive. Didn't talk about it in this version of this episode, but there is stuff being worked on. And actually, right before we were filming, uh, I was getting some good work done on one of them. So
yeah.
I'm hoping against hope, you know. But hoping that will be out sometime for your ears relatively soon, dear viewer. But for now, you can check out the Plaintive Lore. I have an album out called Coping Mechanism on Spotify and Apple Music. Go check it out. And yeah, I also have my album of the year page down there where I rate and review music or albums. Well, music and albums. And you can check out those Linkin Park reviews as well as everything else that I have up there. Um, and I have my TikTok down there. Oh, I have my YouTube page. I forgot to mention that I did a cover this week,
Yeah.
in this version of the episode, this alternate timeline. Um, I did Juno by Claro, which is a great track, and it was fun to play on piano. Excuse me. Go check it out down there. Um, and yeah, that's Instagram, I think, too. Okay. Um, as for my relativity to you, dear viewer, I am currently scrolling LinkedIn in Linkin Park, uh, with a link from Rhett and Link.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah. Uh, and that's where I am relative to you, dear viewer. Um, as for Colin, Colin, he runs our socials. He runs our Twitter page where he updates when videos are posted, as well as everything else that needs to be updated. And he also runs our TikTok page where he posts little funny things of us from time to time. Um, and go check out both of those. Both got great content on there. And yeah, he also has a letterbox where he rates and reviews movies. And new films up there?
No, I have not watched anything.
That's okay.
What I've been doing is working.
Yeah, that's true.
Working.
Yeah, you should watch whatever the guy who ate McDonald's or whatever. I
Oh yeah, the
Super Size Me. That's it.
Super Size Me. Rest in peace, Morgan Spurlock.
That's right. I forgot he passed away. Yeah. But anyways, you can still go over there and check out the plethora of content that is already up and reviewed by our movie lover here.
Yeah.
But he's also an album lover, and he also has an album of the year page. Go show that some love as well as his Instagram review page for albums. Yes. And
Yes.
Colin, what is your relatively speaking to our dear viewer?
Well, as you are in Linkin Park on surfing LinkedIn with Link from Red and Link,
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the Linkin Park Zoo. I'm
Wow.
I'm looking at all the exhibits. I'm hanging out with Rhett from Rhett and Link,
Mm.
and we're having a good time. We're looking at the penguins. We're looking at the giraffes. This is a zoo I've never been to. I've only ever been to the Brookfield Zoo, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have a new experience with my best friend Rhett.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and it's great, but Rhett and Link can't stay separated for too long, so
It's true.
we gotta make our way back to Link and Mike, and as we're walking, a dear viewer of ours will see Rhett and I and go, "Oh my God, it's Colin from Broken Boys,"
Yeah.
and I'll be like, "Yeah, it is, but I gotta get going. If you want to follow me and see Mike, that's cool too."
If you want to follow me, yeah, this is going great places. Yeah.
Yeah. If you Mike is just around the corner. We're going to meet up with him. So
Yeah.
if you want to get the full experience,
Mhm.
and Rich will be a little hurt by that, but it's okay because he's going to be back with his best bud soon.
True.
So as we round the corner and you and Link are sitting there surfing LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Link is looking sullen because he's away from his other half as well. We're going to go, "Oh, look, we're all back together now," and the two duos will be back and at full power because they have each other.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna say to Rhett, it looks like you had a link missing.
and so me, and so I'm gonna go, "Mike, this is a dear viewer of the Broken Boys podcast," and you're gonna go,
Oh, hello.
"Yes," and and you're gonna, and I'm gonna say, "Would you like to have your very own love cage right now?" And they're gonna go, "No." I'm gonna say, "You don't have a choice," and
Oh.
you do, but they were joking when they said no.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're going to engage in this consensual embrace, and what we're gonna do is you're gonna be behind them, I'm gonna be in front of them, we're gonna hug them with them in the middle and give each other a nice tight hug. And me and Mike, I'm gonna go, "I'm sorry I hung out with Rhett, I just wanted to see the zoo and I knew you had to go on LinkedIn, so I'm sorry and I hope you'll forgive me and I hope this kiss will help." And so I'm going to make out with Mike ferociously next to our dear viewer's head, and fireworks are going to go off in the background. Rhett and Link are going to be clapping, holding hands, clapping, and yeah, that embraces what we like to call the love cage. And did you forgive me, Mike?
Did I forgive you?
Yeah.
For what you did to our last episode?
For hanging out with Rhett.
Oh, well, I forgive you for one of those things.
Okay, I'll try to decide which one that is.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
But if you want your very own love cage, which I know you do, all you got to do, dear viewer, is drop your address in the comments below, and we'll find you. You won't know when, you won't know where, but we will find you and give you your very own love cage. So drop that addy down there and get your very own love cage today or tomorrow or whenever, because that's how that works.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this Linkin Park journey. And all jokes aside, a big thank you to Colin for re-recording this episode. I felt very bad. Um, but yeah, we will see you all next week when we do a bracket of something.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So come on back. We love you.
Please come back. All right. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.